I'm from France, representing Musicado Association. And I do this webinar in the frame of Erasmus Plus program, and just sharing screen, which is somewhere here, yes. And I hope you can see that. Wait a minute, yes. And so the Stories in Motion is an Erasmus Plus project. In this project, we have 4 countries, 4 organizations, you can see on the screen, 4 colleagues, and 4 webinars. So I'm the 4th webinar of a series of 4 webinars. Before we had Carmine, then we had and then Lila. Okay, and all of us, we have one passion. These are stories. All right. So I'm back to you. And who am I? So I'm Emmanuel Mappus from France, actually in Greece, but soon getting back home. I'm a storyteller and trainer. So, and a little bit more. I made a few, can you see it? All right, so this is me in the center, storyteller. I'm also a musician, guitar, singing, ukulele, and body percussion. I love it. Trainer in the non-formal education environment, and also a drawer. When I have time, I like to draw a few things like this one. So I said trainer in the non-formal education environment, and storyteller in the frame of the traditional tale storytelling. In French, we call it a conteur. And traditional conteurs, they are people that are telling story that they have listened and that have been transmitted from generation to generation, from mouth to ear. Those traditional conteurs, they do not exist anymore in France, or they're very rare. So the new conteur, the new storyteller, they're called the neo-conteur. They're still telling stories, but mostly received from reading. So I am a storyteller in that spirit, in the spirit of the ancient, the tradition, and daily traditional tale. Shortly, a storyteller is not an actor. It is someone who tells a story in an enthusiastic moment, as a friend, a Greek storyteller, Lili Labrelli, says. And storytelling is also, according to great French storyteller Henri Gougaud or Bruno de la Salle, they say that raconter des histoires, c'est l'art de la relation. Telling stories is the art of relation. So here the difficulty is to create a relation when I don't see you, but I try to feel you, okay? And the relation is between the storyteller and the person who tells stories, and the idea is to give a story to the other, okay? And maybe the story travels to the next person. So I'm doing some storytelling show for children, for adults, for everyone who wants to hear a story. And as a trainer, the last 3 years I'm developing methods linking my storytelling passion, my storytelling love, with non-formal education. And this is what I will present a short element of it on that webinar. Mostly I do workshop and I play with the stories, okay? So let's stop the theory and now a little bit of music. Okay for you? I don't hear you, but I still speak to you. So this is a bit of arrangement. All right. I like that you see me in the guitar. Il était une fois, il était une fois, once upon a time, in Africa, a village. In this village were living men and women. This village had no name, and you wouldn't call it a village. You wouldn't call it a village without a name. Otherwise, it would have had a name. Simply, people wouldn't call this village. And the men and the women would stay in that village, even if with no name, because they like the place, they like the atmosphere, the lights, the sound of the river passing by. One day, a woman of that village went to the forest to get some wood for the fire for cooking. She went there, and for the first time in the story of that village, a woman came out in the village, in the forest, gathering wood, singing. First time, she was gathering wood and singing. The song of the woman came to the ear of a bird. The bird listened to the woman and started, at his turn, to sing back. The woman stopped, dropped her wood on the ground, listened to the bird. So beautiful, so light singing. And she said to the bird, "Bird, bird, you're singing so beautifully. Can you tell me your name?" And the bird said, "You want to know my name? Why? Why so?" "I want to tell to the people of my village that there is in the forest a bird singing like you sing." "Uh-huh," said the bird. What's the name of your village?" "My village has no name." "Your village has no name. Your village has no name. So guess mine." And the woman bent his head, ashamed, and the bird was continuing laughing at her laughing. And the shame of the woman became anger, and the anger in her body went to her hand, and the hand took a stone, threw it in the direction of the bird. She wanted to afraid the bird. She killed him. And the bird fell down in between the 2 feet of the woman with blood in his beak. The woman in panic took the bird, went at home and said, look to her husband and said, "Look, I killed the bird, but I didn't want to kill it." And the man took the bird in his hand and said, "Big misfortune in our village. This bird is a holy bird. It's called the bird Laro. What can we do then?" "I have no idea. Let's go to the chief of the village. He will tell us." And the man, the woman, and the bird, the dead bird, they went to the chief of the village. He took the bird in his hand and said, "Big misfortune in our village. I don't know what we can do to ease the spirit of that bird, the soul of that bird. I can see only one thing. Let's make funeral as if it were a king." And that's what they did. They buried the bird, and for 3 days and 3 nights, they sing for the bird, or they sung, what's the tense. And for 3 days and 3 nights, they danced for the bird, and for 3 days and 3 nights, they played tam-tam for the soul of the bird. And after 3 days and 3 nights, everyone went back home. After 6 weeks, the woman started to feel in her belly life. She was pregnant. Everybody, every man and woman of the village gathered around the woman and say, "What do you want? Tell us the wish. You're the first woman pregnant in that village." And she said, "I don't want anything. Maybe one thing, to give the name of that bird to our village." And that's what happened. From that time on, the name of the village was named the village of Laro. And after a while, all women of the village started to be pregnant. And after some months, children started to come out and run away, crying, laughing, playing around the village, and took life. And something that never happened. Visitors came to the village. Visitors, they liked the place. someone's calling, you know, they like the place, they like the atmosphere, the lights. And they say, very beautiful village. What's the name? And they say, this is the village of Laro. Laro? Never heard about it. And what is the origin of the name of the bird? And they were answering the story that a woman went to the forest, killed the bird by mistake, and they buried the bird and to make a king funerals. After a while, that woman became pregnant and gave the name to the village. And to those who said, no, I don't want a story for children. I want the real origin of the name of that village. To those, they were saying this. The sun brought the question. The question led to death. From death emerged life, and the life gave birth to the name. Thank you for listening. Thank you for giving me the occasion to tell you the stories. I hope you enjoyed that story. This story is a traditional tale from Africa. And which country, I don't know, but as you might know that the traditional tale, they are traveling around the world. And I use telling stories as a storyteller in training or workshop with adults or young adults, just to give an idea what are the few techniques of a storyteller. Of course, here the techniques are difficult to explain because you're not here, no reaction, and we're not moving a house, but this is the way I function. And that tale is classified, is under the, let's say, the group of the philosophical tale. And philosophical tale, they might be difficult to tell in a show because they're quite deep, so you can tell maybe one. On the other hand, in educational environments, they can be used according to my experience. So getting back to the classification of the traditional tale, we had, I said, so some people called Thompson and Arne from, I think, Finland, they made a classification of all the traditional tale all over the world. And from all over the country, there are more or less, there are 5 groups. So one of the group is the philosophical tale, as I said. Another group is the fairy tale or magic tale, and we will talk about fairy tale later. Anyone has an idea what is an example of a fairy tale, and write it on the chat. Okay, while you're thinking for a fairy tale example, I give you the other Cinderella, perfect. Cinderella is a typical fairy tale. In the fairy tale, 2 elements. The heroes has a transformation. So Cinderella, she's poor and everybody hates her. I mean, the situation as she is, and she gets transformed in a princess. So this is one element of the fairy tale, or in Greek we say magic tale. And the second element is this: there are magic element in the story. It could be some magic, some fairy. It could be a magic object. Those 2 elements. So we'll come back to the magic fairy tale later on. Then you have philosophical fairy tale, and you have accumulative tale. It's the cat who is eating the mouse, who is eating the ant, and etc., etc. So accumulative tale. It works very well with children, and it shows a kind of cooperation of how things are linked. Then you have a tale of animals, and a kind of funny tale. I don't know how to say. Okay, these are the tale, conte. I don't talk about myths and legends. They're also cousins, but all right. So we had example of a philosophical tale, and now let's talk about fairy tale. The fairy tale, there is a transformation in the fairy tale. And one guy that Carmine talked about called Joseph Campbell, and also another one called Prop from Russia, and Joseph Campbell from US. And Joseph Campbell, he made a comparative study of all the myths and all the magic, all the fairy tales of the world. And the myths and the fairy tales, they're, let's say, cousins also. One just short thing, in Greek, myth is called Esther, myth is called mythos, and fairy tale or tale is called paramythi. So myth and a tale, they are linked, like also by the etymology of the word. So Joseph Campbell took all the myths and the fairy tale and the fairy tales of the world, and he found a structure. He created the concept of the hero's journey, like Carmine told last time. And the hero's journey was after Transform, and a person that I forgot the name wrote the writer's journey. Writer at the sense of people writing scenario in Hollywood. And in that, through that process, scenario writers of Hollywood, they use the hero's journey of Joseph Campbell. So the structure of the film that we see from Hollywood is linked with fairy tales, Cinderella, let's say. So, and fairy tales coming from, we don't know where, stories that nobody cares so much about fairy tale. And Storyteller, they're a kind of strange animal, but fairy tale, in a way, they're present through the film that we see, and also, they're present then in our imagination. So, I would propose you to make a short then exercise now, and linking with movies. We talked about the movie of, let's say, Hollywood movie or even European movie. So, please take a few seconds, and I will give you a music background to take time to think, but take time to choose one film that you like. And when I say one film, it could be a cartoon like Shrek with a story, not a 5-minute cartoon. It shouldn't be a web series or shouldn't be a TV series. It could be like one of the episode of Star Wars, because each episode of Star Wars, even if it follows each other, but each episode is a story on its own. So please choose a film that you like, and I give you a few seconds, and here's the music break. Music break is over. I hope you have your movies. And just before, one question: what was the song I just played? Anyone has an idea? You will win Greek oregano, organic homemade, if you find. Anyone has an idea about what was the song I just played? So no one wants to win regani, and so ice cream. Anyway, no, strawberry ice cream as a reward. Anyway, so I tell you, I hope you hear me well. So it was Scarborough Fair Canticle by Simon and Garfunkel. And Scarborough Fair Canticle is a traditional song, and who is also a kind of a story, kind of a tale. So now, can you write in the chat the title of the film that you have chosen? Thomas Crown Affair. Okay, I don't know that film, but it looks nice. Any Dumb and Dumber? Dumb and Dumber. Any other film you've chosen? It doesn't have to be your favorite film, a film that you like and you remember the story. And then we have Coco. It's an animation movie about Mexican boy who loves music. Okay, we have also Coco from Lila. All right. Animation movie. Any other films? All right. Good Will Hunting. We have Lina choosing Agora. Okay, I tell it with a Greek pronunciation, but Agora, you can say. All right. So we will make the exercise short and go directly to one scene of the film. So all of you have in mind the hero, how he is, what he does, his personality, etc. So I would like to ask you now to choose one important moment of the film where there is an obstacle that the hero has to overcome. Okay? So I just took an example. It's just an imagination, a scene that is not in any film, but it came from my brain. Okay. And also, sorry. And you take this scene and you make a drawing. Yeah. Can you see my drawing? Maybe like this. In the drawing, it's simply do it in the way you want, but in the drawing at least 3 steps. The situation before, the situation where the heroes found a solution, how to overcome the problem, and then the situation after. In my drawing, so I imagined a man in the desert, in a path full of snakes. How can he pass? He just had the idea to sing a song, and he charmed the snakes, and the snake went back, and then 3rd scene, he went back. So obstacle, the snake, solution, the song. So choose in the film you have chosen, identify one moment where there is an obstacle. Do you have that obstacle? Is it? When you have that obstacle, draw at least 3 steps of this scene. The heroes in front of the obstacle, the heroes finding a solution, finding a resolution. It could be more than one drawing, but at least one, and then the situation after the obstacles. Maybe I can play guitar. Allez, another guitar. I love that song, so. So do you have the drawing? I don't know if people can show the drawing, can join the video. Does anyone wants to show the drawing and present shortly the scene? Anyone is ready to make active the video and make active the microphone, show the short drawing, and tell the story of this movie scene. Otherwise, I talk more. All right, let's continue. But when you have it in a group, you can, everybody can share and present. It's also a way to practice public speaking. By the way, my main passion for making such a story workshop, it's because I like to play with stories. So I would like the people play with stories. And the main educational objective is to help people to talk in public. So it's public talking, the objective, through, of course, different games with different stories. So you have the scene. Da, 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 da. This is, can you see? Okay, this is a man. And I would like that you take now the time to think that this is the hero. He's the hero. He's the hero of your movie, or if it's the woman, you can put different hair, whatever. And now we have had this moment where the hero has to overcome obstacles. Thanks to what he could manage to overcome obstacle. Thanks to which competencies, which quality, which talent, which skills he could do that. So think how we could. So the snake guy here, the snake guy, in order to pass to the snakes, they are blocking the path. He had to use, for instance, the competence of imagination, and a lot more. So on my hero's drawing, I would put imagination at some point. So I divide in the competence in 3 types. You have the mental competence, like imagination could be here. So around the head is you put the mental competence. Around the feet and the hand, you can put the physical competence or technical competencies of the heroes. And in the heart, the emotional or relationship competencies. All right? Think about the scene and think about how the heroes found a solution to overcome the obstacles, and with which competence he could do that. And put 3 types of competence: mental competence around the head, physical, technical competence around the hand or the feet, emotional or relationship competence around the heart. So I will do it for mine. This guy in the desert, I forgot to say, is in the desert, who overpass with snakes. He's my hero. Imagination. So I don't tell. It's difficult for me to stay quiet, but try it. All right. Yeah. Do you have it? Do you have your heroes? And on your hero, you have put the competence he used to overpass this. All right. So in mine, I put some imagination, artistic competence. He's singing. Courage. Yeah, put courage. In French, we call cold blood is the ability not to panic. I don't know how you call it in English. So if we have the possibility and someone wish, we could share this through videos. Anyone is ready to do that? Okay, so we have the hero, the drawing of the hero, the competence, and now the game is to tell the story of the film or the story of the scene of the film through the hero's competence. So the idea is to do this. My hero is called, I don't know what's the name of the hero, is Petros. Petros is my hero, and my hero is a calm person with courage, artistic talents, and imagination. And now I need to prove, I'm telling the story, but I need to prove that he's courageous. And I prove it he's courageous because suddenly he saw snakes very dangerous snakes on the path. He didn't panic. So this is the competence, didn't panic competence. And instead of running away, he said, I will face it, this danger. So he has courage. So I illustrate the competence by an action of the guy. He has imagination because he had no sword or big weapon, so he had to use his brain to find a solution. And he has an artistic competence because he's singing so beautifully that the snakes, they were like charmed and went away. Okay. Does anyone want to write on the chat one competence that he or she has identified from the hero, and can you illustrate, can you prove it? If you say my hero has a strategic brain, please prove it. And you can prove it by giving an example. Okay. Katerina writes, my hero is a man called Monos. Oh, great. Who lives isolated in a cave due to his witch spell. Oh my God, great. He's doomed not to have any friends and relationships. Okay, no friend, no relationships. He tried to escape from the cave and at the same time find a way to talk and come closer with other people. Animal helps him to escape. So if I can understand, the obstacle situation is to escape the cave. Can you, Katerina? Yes, Katerina says yes, great, I'm happy, I'm not alone. Thank you, Katerina. Can you give one competence of this hero and then prove it or illustrate the competence by an action he's doing in the film? One competence that your hero has. So Katerina chose the film. Katerina, okay, the film is. Any competence you can identify he used to escape the cave? I don't know. I hope you hear me. I have no anyone else want to give an example of a competence that your hero is using to? Can you explain the term competence? A skill, a capacity, a talent. Okay, says Katerina. Okay, Katerina, find a competence. Yes, we hear well, says. Okay, so Eb says, my hero finds himself bored, but in the reality, he feels simply destructive and doesn't realize that he is bored and in lack of companion. In the end, he meets an equal partner. So Katerina or Eb, can you tell a competence of your hero and then illustrates it? A competence that he used to overcome difficulties or what you call obstacles. Again, this is this. Maybe you already use this if you work with as a trainer. And this, okay. Katerina says he's emotional, he's clever. Okay, he's clever. Prove it that he's clever. Give an example. Illustrate your the term he's clever by an action he has done that shows that he's clever. So the hero is called Monos. Monos is, by the way, is a Greek word meaning to be alone. So that's, I think that's why they gave him that name. So Monos has an obstacle, which is the cave he wants to escape. He's clever. Okay. He finds a way to communicate with animals so they can help him. All right. All right. So this is an example that is clever. App is also saying who laughs about it and actually help the hero to destroy. Okay, Katarina again, he creates a language to talk with animals. So it shows his cleverness. the competence of the Heroes app is mental openness to see new ways to see things. So it's mental openness. Can you prove it? Can prove this app, or can you illustrate by an action the Heroes does that shows he has mental openness? His competence is also being proactive, doing something even if destructive and misbehave. So again, another competence of app. So I need proof, app. I would like to have an illustration of either his mental openness competence, okay. So app wrote the fact that he goes to get help to a therapist. All right, so he's proactive and he's taking action, going to look for a therapist. Okay. Another thing that app writes about his hero, he is willing to share his stories. So his mental openness, okay, we see it with this action, and takes the other's opinion. All right, so this this is the exercise, and when you do it in groups, you ask people to tell the stories of the film through the competence of the hero. So people might not know my film. This is my hero. His name is Petros, and Petros is a courageous man and creative man, and we can see it through this action he does in the film, etc., etc. So it's another way to play with stories, and another way of telling the story of a film through the hero's competence. And yes, I use this exercise also. My idea is first is to make people talk, and to make people talk about themselves, but in an indirect way. I don't have my thing is not to make people talk about the stories like therapists. This is not it's not me. I like stories, so telling about you through indirect stories. And why indirect stories? In that case, when we choose a film, it's never by chance, it's never by mistake. The film we choose and the scene the film we choose, they are telling something. So they're telling something about us. So it allows people that are afraid to speak in public and afraid to talk about themselves, even more difficult, to tell something about themselves in an indirect way and to speak about a story, because there's no risk. It's not my story. It's just something I like. All right. This exercise was done with the French young adults lately in reskilling or refining your path, refining your professional path in a activity. And after my activity, the counselor was using the result of my activity to talk about different things. So they can talk about, okay, Katerina will answer your question later on. They can use this maybe to prepare a job interview, because in job interview, you have to talk about your skills and you have to illustrate the skills. Simply, they can be used to talk about yourself or to talk about something you like, or to be proactive by bringing something of you. Sometimes people, they don't, they decide, no, I have no idea. So here, just bring something, which is something you like. So Katerina says, have you tried this method with kids also apart from adults? No, I haven't. I guess you can do this, but I wouldn't use then the terms of competence. It could be used, I would imagine it could be used with children to help them also to practice talking. Traditional tales are also very nice to practice talking. First, the children, they practice listening, and listening to a traditional tale is helping to structure the mind, because the tales, they are very well constructed in general, and there's things happening for a reason. So you have cause and consequence, and it could be, yeah, at what age your kids, what age you're talking about when you talk about kids? If it's very young, I would say no. I would say from 9 years old, 6, 12. Okay. 6, 7, I don't know if they can choose, they are able to choose a story, but why not? What I could suggest you is to play with stories and to invite them to play with stories. In my way, I have deconstructed the stories first in scene and then the scene in competence, and then reverse from the competence, I tell the story. I think competence doesn't fit to children. Maybe you can use something else, but you can deconstruct the story or say to the children to tell about the story, what they like, or okay, it needs to be tried out, I would say. Any other question you have on what has been done through this short webinar? I'm checking. Yes, this is okay. Thank you, Katerina. Welcome. Any other general questions? There could be role playing, maybe. Why not? Like, how do you say role playing? Using a story, using a film? It could be that came out to me that you choose a film, everybody, yes, both. You can choose a film, or let's say a cartoon, because talk about children, that everybody knows. You choose a scene with an obstacles, and you ask people to play the scene and maybe to find new solutions. There is another exercise that I do and also other people do. You tell the beginning of a story, and you ask the people, you stop in one crucial point where the hero is in a complicated situation, and you ask them to, now you imagine the end of the story. So they take time to imagine the end of the story, and it's very nice to for stimulating imagination. Also, I was thinking today, it's very nice to show to people that the same story can have 1,000 different ends. So we are not blocked in one thing. There are always many ways we can, on one point when we have one difficulty, we can find so many ways. So this is also an exercise you can do. You tell a part of a traditional tale, I would suggest, and stop and say, now tell me how the heroes find the solution. Yes, that's nice. Yeah. I think this would definitely work with the children. And yeah. Any other things you want to share or you want to ask? Lila, have you used also music in the work with young adults? If yes, how? Music? No. I played the song that I played it on the ukulele as an introduction of the travel of the hero. It was another story, but the same music, I like it. And I've used body percussion. Body percussion is when you play with your body. I don't know. So it's okay. You play with body percussion is dance, music, and rhythm. And body percussion is you can see videos online. The best if you can have a workshop with someone. And but videos online are quite good. Body percussion, I've used it in training courses to make group cooperation and group harmonization and group. Yeah, this is the main thing. And yes, playing rhythm, polyrhythm I played, not polyrhythm, but different voices, and everybody played together. And it was like groovy things. Now, when I talk, I hear the groove. Yeah. Otherwise, music, no. Thank you for suggestion. Maybe I can use. But body percussion could be a good tool. Guitar is more complicated because you are the person doing things and people only listen. Body percussion, everybody can be a body percussionist because you need a body and a percussion, of course. And they are very simple rhythm. So people with rhythm difficulty say, do the simple rhythm like this one, which everybody knows. You know, stomp, stomp, clap. Anyway, and then other may more complicate. And this is, yes. Okay, that was about body music, percussion, sorry. Impressive. Oh, okay, thank you. I remember when you did body percussion with a group in France, strong exercise. Yeah, in France, I did it as an energizer and group cohesion. So I just did that. People bring together, bringing up the energy of the group, and then I passed the floor to one colleague. Then this was the way. Yeah, I made also in one place, and it made so much noise that the next time they said, please don't make body percussion because it's making the boom, 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 and the people from the office down couldn't work. But otherwise, it's yeah, very easy way to do a group. All right, if there is no other sharing or other question, I will go to a last slide, which is somewhere here. No, yeah, wait a minute. Where are you? Here. So, partager l'écran. Here, and then we have, yes, it's coming. Yeah. So this was me, 4 countries, the 4th webinar, 1 passion stories. And just here, I want to say that in this Erasmus Plus, this European project called Stories in Motion, we all have different approach of stories, and that's what makes it beautiful. And my approach, what I presented you, coming from the traditional tale spirit, I hope one day I can tell you a live story and that we can share the story, but in a different atmosphere. And here are the Facebook page of the Stories in Motion, which is in Facebook, you type stories, plural, Stories in Motion project, and you find our Facebook page. Maybe you're already, maybe you know already. There is also a website, which is the same word, Stories in Motion project.wordpress.com. And there we present what we do. There are the recording of the, I think, the webinar, maybe recording of the webinar or more, also on Facebook. And on the web, we have made a database of about 50 methods using stories in different shape and different kind of stories, and some inspiration books and videos. Joseph Campbell is there, of course, and those things. So I will then close the sharing, and it's me again. Thank you to everyone. I'm looking at the chat here. Thank you, everyone. Now, wish you a nice afternoon, and thank you. You're welcome. And be connected. We will have more things on the Facebook group. We have some nice sentences every Wednesday. We hope we have a Zoom conference with a French guy called Nicolas from storytelling, traditional storytelling magazine. Due to the containment, it was complicated to have it, but I really hope we have it in the next 3-4 months. And we are hoping to have the second Stories in Motion 2. We applied for another project, and it will be, we hope, from September. Till then, keep on listening to story, keep on telling stories, and thank you, and have a nice afternoon. Bye-bye.